As far as my work is concerned, I work at different levels. One, my most important engagement is with slum people who are the working classes in the cities. And Earth Charter, especially the principle number 3 that talks about economic and social justice. This is something that I very deeply work with. The human rights, the dignity rights of every person, and the right of every individual to realize his or her full gamut of rights. And this is where Earth Charter, especially the principle based on economic and social justice, comes handy for me in my own work. And I use this as part of the normal training at the of domestic workers. We have two trade unions of domestic workers, the Andhra Pradesh State Union and the Telangana State Union. And then we have what we call our community level meetings that take place in the slum where the workers live. And Earth Charter, elements of the Earth Charter is something that we use on a normal basis to understand themselves, understand their own rights, understand the full potential that they need to develop into, and the connectedness that they have with the rest of humanity, the rest of society, and the rest of creation. Also, it helps them to understand that there is a higher level. In spite of their struggles, the normal struggles of life, there is a higher level to which they need to reach. So this is something, again, the Earth Charter helps us to work with. At a second level, I am part of a faith-based community, the Montfort Brothers of St. Gabriel. And we in India have around 200 schools. We are in 32 different countries. In April last year was our once in 6 years what we call the general chapter, which is a policy making body with representatives from all over the world. And I insisted that Earth Charter is put on the agenda of the policy of the society, of the congregation for the next 6 years. In fact, SDGs and the Earth Charter and human rights. These are 3 pillars on which the policy document on education has been prepared by the Brothers of St. Gabriel. So this is at another level. Now the challenge is to take it really to the individual schools, colleges, training them on the Earth Charter principles and values, and ensuring that it is lived as part of the institutional framework, part of the institutional structure and ambience, and personal values of children, teachers, administrators, and others. So this is another level with which we work with Earth Charter. A third level is also part of the NCN, that is the Neighborhood Community Network. The whole idea is democracy as we live it today seems to be failing. It has become an instrument of the big voices to get power. In the process, the last person, the people who are most vulnerable, are left out of this whole framework and whole system of democracy. We need to find alternative governance processes. And in this context, we have been working on a concept called neighborhoodization, neighborhood community network. In fact, it has been inspired by many circles, by Paulo Freire, by the basic Christian communities in South America that was popular, especially in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and others. There are the Scandinavian countries. There is something called sociocracy that also seems to be basing on very similar principles. So based on these principles, we have been working on how to create small neighborhoods where people are able to meet and talk to each other and solve their problems through a participatory process. And we have taken this to children we have what we call the Children's Parliament. We have in India around 1,000, there are 120,000 children's parliaments all over India. And so we have groups of 30 children. There are ministers. All the 30 have responsibilities. It's a parliament that works. Parliament basically means to talk. So children are able to come together, talk, resolve issues, not only of themselves and their schools, but also of their community. So this is where we have a minister in many of the children's parliaments, a minister for the Earth Charter. Just as we have ministers for each of the 17 SDGs, we have a minister for the Earth Charter in each of these 30-member children's parliaments. So children get to understand the value of the Earth Charter. We have organized city-level children's parliaments in Hyderabad on the principles of the Earth, one aspect or other of the Earth Charter. So we have been using the Earth Charter at very, very different levels. There is so much more that can be done, especially in the context of India, where there is a tremendous need for understanding, valuing the principles of the Earth Charter, and bringing in connections where there is so much of disintegration. I think Earth Charter is a very, very promising document that we can work on so much further.